Hi, it's Wednesday and welcome to our daily video blog. And again, we've got a guest speaker for us. It's Sophie Hobbs from Bucks Mind, who's going to be giving us some tips in terms of the way in which we can help combat some of that anxiety and stress that we were talking about yesterday on the video blog. Just before we pass over to Sophie, just a couple of points from me again. First of all, please remember we're still in lockdown. As I said on Monday morning, we're seeing a lot more cars on the road at the moment, a lot more activity, and also people still driving too fast. You know, it's really important if we're going to keep the cap on this particular virus and stop it spreading, that we still observe the lockdown regulations the government's got. So please don't slacken off too much. I understand people want to get out after 7 weeks in lockdown, but please don't throw away the gains we've already made. And also just an update on something I mentioned yesterday. I am getting a lot of letters about the closure of the household waste sites, what most people call the local tips. I did say the other day that we are trying to reopen them. We've been ready to reopen them within Buckinghamshire now for about the last 2 weeks. They had to be closed primarily because the government, in their guidance to the local police force, doesn't recognise a trip to the local household waste site, the local tip, as being essential travel. And therefore, there was the possibility that residents travelling there would have been stopped, fined, and sent back. And we obviously can't put the police in that sort of position, nor indeed residents in that sort of position. Now, we have escalated this through our local MPs, and we are promised that there'll be new regulation and new guidance from central government within a week, hopefully very soon. Once we receive that, we're on hot standby to reopen those tips, and hopefully that's something we can do within, say, 2 or 3 days after that guidance is made clear and consistent. So please, you know, we really do want to reopen the tips. It's not something we're doing to be sort of perverse to local residents at all. So having said that, I'm going to pass over now to Sophie and hopefully get some good tips on how we can combat some of that stress and anxiety we're all probably suffering from. Sophie, over to you.
Hello, welcome to my living room. So the first thing that I want to tell you all is we all have mental health. It's as much a part of our body as our elbows are. And what's really good to know is we also have something called our mental well-being, and your mental well-being is your day-to-day emotional state. So the good news is, a little bit like going to the gym to build your muscles, to look after your mental well-being, which is what can be really good overall for mental health, there are a lot of things that you can practice. And the one I really want to talk to you about today is meditation. Now, you don't need to go pony trekking in Nepal to find your guru and sit in lotus position for 6 hours. This is the real world. I'm sure a lot of you are parents and have children at home, and that's, you know, having quiet time is just not always possible. So why should we bother thinking about breathing techniques, doing meditation? Well, studies have shown that it actually does something called neuroplasticity. So it literally changes the shape of your brain. So the primitive part of your brain, the amygdala, which is where your stress response comes from, it's a reflex action. You don't have much control over it. But what meditation does is it increases cortical thickness and grey matter, which is a really fancy way of saying it reduces the area of stress and increases emotional reasoning, problem solving, and feelings of relaxation. So all good things to do. Best of all, it's free. So I'm saying to people, if the only thing you can do today is when you put the kettle on to boil the water for a tea, if you just stand and wait for that kettle to boil, and as you're doing it, monitor your breathing. So you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Just doing that for 2 minutes in the time it takes for the kettle to boil can make a really, really big difference to your overall well-being. Now, as I said, parents, I know you've got kids at home that might be getting a bit bored, and the idea of being sat down and meditating is just impossible. Well, good news, there's so much on YouTube that can help. So there's a channel called Cosmic Kids that has something called a Zen Den, and that can help young children learn how to meditate. There's lots of apps such as Calm and Headspace. And if you check us over at bucksmind.org.uk or nationalmind.org.uk, there are so many resources that we have for free for you to use that can help with all this to do with your well-being. So Before I hand back over to Martin, all I'm going to say is take a nice deep inhale. So really inflate your belly, push air into your belly. And as you exhale, stomach towards the spine. So you're just getting that stagnant air out. We'll do it once more. Nice deep inhale. Big sigh exhale. So best of luck. I hope this helps in what is a very uncertain, strange time in life. Thank you for having me, and back over to you, Martin.
Sophie, thanks very much indeed. And you couldn't see that, but I was inhaling and exhaling as you were telling me to. So thanks a lot. That was brilliant. Oh God, as a child of the 70s, that, you know, meditation is something I sort of grew up hearing about a lot. So that puts it into the real sort of 2020s world. That's brilliant. Just before I sign off, I just want to say one last thing. I made a rule when we started these daily video blogs that I wouldn't become effectively the classified ads for local businesses. I think it's really difficult if I start advertising local businesses and so on, because then you get the, why did you advertise this business, not that business, what about me, and so on. The only thing I'm going to make a slight exception for is I've just done an interview for the democracy reporter that's been appointed to our local newspapers. So I've just done quite a big interview with them. And I would just make a plea, our local papers really are part of the heartland of democracy in local government. They hold us to account. They can be very challenging at times, but they're really important. And they are struggling during lockdown because obviously people can't buy them in the same way that they normally do. So if you get the chance, if you're out doing your shopping each week, just remember, you know, the local papers need your support as well. And without them, I think we're all that little bit the poorer. So I just thought I'd put that plug in for the local papers as well. So having said that, that's it for today. See you all tomorrow. And as always, stay safe and stay well.